A pretty damning, incriminating, stunning admission by Donald Trump's deputy attorney general after being baited by a social media post by George Conway. George Conway criticized Todd Blanch, Trump's deputy attorney general, criminal defense attorney, and the questioning that was being done to Ghislaine Maxwell a few months back at that Tallahassee facility when there was that interview between Ghislaine and Trump's DOJ. And George Conway's like, dude, why didn't you ask Ghislaine any follow-up questions? Why weren't you prepared? Like, you see all these emails coming out that shows that Ghislaine was like playing you and she was like lying about everything and she was acting like she didn't know anything about Trump. But all of these emails, it's her and Epstein saying pretty specific things about Donald Trump. And if you just do an analysis of the Epstein emails that dropped, like from these emails, Donald Trump appears in like more than half of them. I mean, just think about that. Trump's name in the Epstein emails is in more than half of them. Wall Street Journal, the threads, that's how they analyze this. Of 2,324 email threads, Trump's name appears in 1,670 of them. So George Conway asks a pretty reasonable question. And he didn't even pose this like, he didn't even go, hey, Todd Blanch, answer this. He just put it into the universe. Here's what George Conway says. An important side note about today's Epstein-Trump revelations. They show that Todd Blanch's questioning of Ghislaine A, completely incompetent, or B, intentionally crafted not to elicit facts incriminating Trump. Either way, he's not fit to serve as Deputy Attorney General of the United States. Now, if I were the Deputy Attorney General and somebody said, see, regardless of the circumstance, and I'm not even saying this case, just talk about something else, why would I be responding on a social media platform? I'm the Deputy AG. I'm the number 2 person in the Department of Justice. But this Trump regime, they are glued to social media. So Todd Blanch responds to this. And he goes, George, you've never been confused for a trial. And these kinds of posts explain why. When I interviewed Maxwell, law enforcement didn't have the materials Epstein estate hid for years and only just provided to Congress. Stop talking. It's unbecoming. Now, Todd Blanch, that was a way that he could own or troll George Conway. But dude, you just admitted, one, that Ghislaine Maxwell was basically lying to you during the questioning, which would be a federal crime to lie to the deputy AG and FBI officials. But you also are admitting that you didn't do your diligence before doing that interview. First off, the deputy AG should not be doing that interview. That's never happened before. You're the number 2 at the whole DOJ. You're not doing those interviews. If anyone would be doing it, it would be FBI agents involved in the case, the line prosecutor, prosecutors with knowledge of the case and the facts. I mean, this would never even happen ever in normal times to begin with, but you'd want to have people knowledgeable about the case in the room. But guess what? The Trump regime fired her. Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter, was the lead prosecutor. She got fired by the Trump regime when the Trump regime really accelerated its cover-up. It's always been doing it, of these Epstein files back in July. She's suing the Trump regime right now. But they had nobody with knowledge of the Epstein case in the room, or the Ghislaine Maxwell case in the room with Ghislaine Maxwell. And by the way, George Conway responded, dude, you didn't even come close to asking a decent follow-up question of Maxwell. And I saw at your boss's criminal trial, the one where he was convicted on 34 felony counts, where you couldn't cross-examine your way out of a paper bag. I remember his terrible cross-examinations there. And so George Conway's so right. But, speaking about perpetually online and making these social media posts, it's just like Donald Trump, as part of his further cover-up of the Epstein files, this is what he posted this morning. He goes, now that the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax involving Democrats, not Republicans, to try and deflect from their disastrous shutdown and all of their other failures, I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, JP Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions, to determine what was going on with them. This is another Russia scam with all arrows pointing towards the Democrats. A deranged post. Obviously, Trump's covering up for his name being all over those emails, which the Wall Street Journal analysis found were on over half of the email threads, and it's part of Trump's cover-up of the Epstein files. But the way Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanch responded to George Conway, Attorney General Pam Bondi responds, and she goes, "Thank you, Mr. President." Like this is a normal interaction. First off, they're not supposed to be talking at all. And then she accepts a social media post as an order. And she goes, "Thank you, Mr. President. SDNY U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton is the one most capable and trusted prosecutors in the country, and I've asked him to take the lead. As with all matters, the department will pursue this with urgency and integrity." Look, the DOJ is dead right now. Let's be very clear. Gone. The DOJ, any shred, scintilla of credibility, we knew it was gone a long time ago. What the hell is this? In normal times, yes, it would be a major scandal for the President of the United States to direct his Attorney General to criminally investigate his political opponents to deflect from his involvement in covering up a child sex trafficking ring. Okay, what are we even talking about here? And I think something else that's important to note as well is, didn't in July, the FBI and DOJ wrote in their memo that they were not releasing the Epstein files in part because they did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. But now, after a push from Donald Trump, here we are. Harry Litman, we've got a lot to break down. Harry Litman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel and the Talking Feds podcast and the Talking Feds Substack. Harry, let's start off with let's start off with Blanch, then we'll go to Bondi. So good. In Blanch engaging like this, I think it's an admission. And by the way, the estate was always there, the Epstein estate. They weren't hiding it. You're the DOJ. If you would have asked them for those documents, they turn it over and you have the files. One other point, Harry, before I start rambling. The idea of cherry picking is usually when the party that has the documents selects the documents that they turn over. It ain't cherry picking when the side that doesn't have the documents is putting forward the ones that they can find when you control the cherry trees. They own it. They have the file. What are they talking about? Harry, take it away.
Where to begin? Ben, we had another YouTube discussion involving some total Keystone Cop behavior by Lindsay Halligan. And there's a hypothesis that she just doesn't know what she's doing. Todd Blanch, longtime AUSA, then a private practice partner in a big Cadwalader, a big firm. There is no way, zero way, impossible when you go to interview a witness that you're actually trying to learn something from, you first and foremost gather the damn documents. That is the backbone of any interview. Blanch obviously knows it. And this little canard of law enforcement didn't have these 3 emails. I think that will turn out, maybe nobody was looking, but it just doesn't matter. Conway is right, because this was a positive, again, unprecedented. I've never seen it. I've literally never seen it. You're the Deputy Attorney General. There are 10,000 people in the DOJ that you say to, please give me the documents that I need to interview Ghislaine Maxwell with. You're the partner at Cadwalader. Same thing. The fact that he goes to this interview and doesn't show her a document is screaming evidence that he wasn't looking to scrutinize or get information. He was looking to gently guide her around any kind of possible assertion to let her do what he knew she would do, which is to say nice things and exculpate Trump. I didn't witness this. Yeah, you didn't witness it, but we know you knew about it. But the main thing, so 2 parts about Blanch. Stunningly inept, so much so it had to be purposeful. And we knew this at the time, and you and I talked about it. He's obviously in the tank for his former client, Donald Trump. He doesn't even pretend otherwise. The Deputy Attorney General, who's taken an oath of office to uphold the Constitution, instead is not giving a shit about the actual investigation or what it could be or who might have committed federal crimes. It's all about serving the political purposes of his former boss. And the back and forth with Conway, by the way, what kind of Deputy Attorney General is so silly and so thin-skinned as to respond to this with George Conway? He looks so small. But in any event, this side note that the law enforcement didn't have those documents, whatever that means, is truly, well, first, it, as you say, tends to be not much of a defense on the merits, right? Oh, we didn't have these things that you've just said show what a liar Maxwell is. Well, okay, you're not denying that she is. But then second, you do not go into an interview without documents unless you're looking to whitewash. So that's for starters on Blanch. And it was a travesty, the Deputy Attorney General acting in such dereliction, in the tank for the person who happens to be in the Oval Office. All right, you want to serve it up one at a time. So that's Blanch. Really a disgrace. What you got next?
Let's go Bondi next. Bondi then gets an order, in Lindsay Halligan fashion, where Trump says, I need you to go after, Pam Bondi, go after this person, that person, Comey, Schiff, New York Attorney General Letitia James. Then they have Halligan becomes the lawyer, prosecutor. She prosecutes Trump's enemies. So here we have Trump now giving another order. He's posting it. This is the MO now on a social media platform saying, I want you to basically to cover up my involvement in the Epstein emails right now. And by going after Democrats on my conspiracy. So rather than release the files, launch this investigation after you shut down the investigation in July. And then Pam Bondi says, sir, yes, sir, I will do it. I have a great person. It's like these people are just so clownish to watch. I will do it. There is a good man by the name of Clayton in Epstein. Just stupid stuff.
Ben, it is worse than that, a lot worse than that. And this is something your very sophisticated listeners, as knowledgeable as you keep them, may not know. Clayton is a well-known Quisling disgrace. He's got, besides lacking all experience, he has shown himself in a proclamation and in a speech he made that turned the stomachs of every alum from SDNY, everyone who's ever been in DOJ. He has shown himself to be just this side of, say, Ed Martin Jr. So that's like a joke, a Bondi type joke, joke / lie / not very funny. To say that Jay Clayton's going to look into this. And then the second point, this is what we'll have to see, right? Trump is obviously terrified about the release of the documents. He has Johnson the House of Representatives shut down and does no business rather than a vote to serve up the release of the documents. Just see whether or not the administration uses the existence of an investigation, namely Clayton's, of all these Democrats to say, oh, we just can't give documents now they're subject to an investigation. Sorry, law enforcement, which we always have to comply with. That would be brazen and chutzpah tick, I think is the adjective even for them. But let's see if that's part of the conceit here. But one thing it isn't. No way, no how anyone who knows Jay Clayton and just has seen him operate over the last couple months, it is not as Pam Bondi represents, some investigation with integrity to go where the facts and law lead. The whole road's been laid out to be for Democrats only, and then the road will be pursued not in a solid, without fear or favor, standard prosecutorial way. It'll be pursued in a Trump partisan way. That's who Jay Clayton is.
It's a great point that I hadn't fully thought of, Harry, that they'll now say, we have an ongoing criminal investigation into all of these Democrats. Therefore, we cannot produce the Epstein files publicly because there's this serious investigation. It's a great point. It's unfortunately where they're going. There are they're going to go that route. And then Ghislaine's going to say that she's filing a habeas petition based on all this new information that's out there, as you and I said she was going to do many months ago. And she's going to say, hey, they're saying it's a hoax and this person's involved in that person, so I need a new trial. And then she's going to argue that she can't have her deposition taken by the House Oversight Committee because now she's seeking a habeas petition and she's going to invoke her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination there, and she's going to silence. So that's how they're doing. And I just say to everybody watching this, you may be a Democrat, you may be an independent, you may be a Republican, you may be from another country, you may not care about politics at all. Just think about this behavior from a lens of like more basic morality and decency and truth. Like this is incompetence. Like this is bad people. Like these are just bad humans who are doing bad things so flagrantly. And they think you watching this are stupid. They think you're too stupid to see that they're bad people. And I hope that Harry, myself, this network, and you together, we see what they're doing together. And knowledge is power in this. So thanks, Harry.
5-second coda is, that's right. They're scoundrels to the max, except when, their last refuge is the law. Oh my Lord, now we can't do it. It's ironic because they've been nothing but bulldozing the law through every turn. But now they can actually say, oh, Rule 6, as if they care to fart.
It's what makes them so pathetic in so many ways. It's like they do the mid-decade redistricting in Texas. The governor just says, I'm doing it. Call the legislature in. And we want 5 seats. Then, so I know totally different topic.
No, but it's so true. I know where you're going, I think.
But then California does a referendum. The people vote overwhelmingly. Power to the people. And then it's equalized. And then Pam Bondi sends the DOJ to file lawsuits now and say, that's unlawful gerrymandering. You're trying to rig the midterms. And it's like,
but says nothing about Texas.
Nothing about Texas. Yeah. And it's just responding to what you're doing there. And that, to me, again, I don't care what political party you're from. Yeah. You just need to recognize this is blatant corruption. And these are bad people who freaking hate this country and what it stands for. I have no other way to say it other than that. Harry Littman runs the Talking Feds YouTube channel, the Talking Feds Substack, and the Talking Feds podcast. So when this video ends, you can just search Talking Feds on YouTube, hit subscribe there, get the updates from Harry. Thanks, Harry.
Hey, thanks, Ben. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.